mentioned, we were going to run a fall soccer program. We had planned on it based on the MHSAA guidelines, which we were advertising and going by, but that was shut down per our administrator at the end of the year. So we did not run our fall soccer. So hopefully we'll move forward in 2021 with our programming, which I'll roll right into. First of all, any questions on 2020? We stayed pretty busy for it being a weird year. All right, 2021, again, I dot pointed here. We had a Parks and Rec meeting last week, and we started forming a pool committee with, is what you guys have kind of looked for and we've talked about. We decided to have a committee of 5 people, 5 volunteers. We have 3 volunteers as of right now, which is Emily Mullins, Andrea Eisen, and Brandon Hudson. So our next meeting, we're hoping to have 2 more people that we can present to you after our February 18th Parks and Rec meeting for approval. Sponsorship letters here going forward this year, again, will go out in February to all businesses. As long as I've been park director, which has been, I lost track, about 7 years, we annually average over $5,000 just by sending a letter out and asking for local businesses' help, which they've been more than generous at donating money. And we put their name on the back of a t-shirt. It's what they get out of return. So that's been very successful for us. Then I had it broke down into a big, long, what we did play-by-play for the rest of the year, but I broke it down into a little shorter segment so the rest of you guys can do yours. Rec programming and events planned as followed this year. This is barring everything goes as well as we hope. Adult, youth, and morning basketball will start again as soon as the gyms reopen. Adult volleyball, the same. That will run usually November through April. Youth spring soccer, that is ages from 3 to 15. And that opens up every April and goes through June. But we begin planning and getting forms and meeting and stuff here in February. So this is not just a April to June event. It runs for quite a few months just to make sure we're organized. We deal with 7 other villages on this program for our older kids to have a place to play. Our 3-on-3 basketball tournament is planned for July 10th, this festival weekend. We are planning that. It will start here the first part of February. That event has been self-sponsored with really no money coming out of the rec program for this. It's just a win-win. Youth tackle football will start and run August through October, which planning and this will begin in June. Same thing with youth flag football, starts in August, runs through October, and we plan on beginning that also in June. Now we run a youth fall soccer league in the fall also. That will start in August and run through October. The planning will begin in June. We have Blissfield on Tap, our annual craft beer festival. Annual until last year, but we're going to call it annual anyway. Tentative date for that is going to be August 14th, give or take a week before or after. We haven't set a date yet. We've started talking about that already, so that takes a good 6 or 7 months to get this thing rolling with all the different things we need to do. So again, Festival of Trees. Heather and I have talked briefly, but I hope to do that again this year, make it even bigger and better. We'll start probably talking about that midsummer, early fall. And I've discussed with the new owners of the bowling alley running a winter youth bowling league. That's in the planning stages yet. So that's something we can add onto our agenda. I think would be a nice touch, and they're very interested. So that's kind of our 2021 lineup. Will that change a little bit? We'll hopefully have a couple other things to add on that throughout the year. That's a pretty busy schedule. We've had very good success with this program, and we hope to keep expanding and keep having the success we've had. And if you guys have any questions or like me to get more detailed, feel free to call me, email me, text me, or give me a holler. I'll meet up with you and we can go into more details. So any questions?
right, Eric. I think that was a very good presentation. I appreciate all your help and your board's help as well.
Yep, I thank you, and I thank my board.
So next we have Dr. Bob, are you presenting for the library?
It looks like I am.
Perfect.
Oh, you want me to go? That was it?
Yes, sorry.
We have our board consists of Greg Brown, who's the president, Annalie Brown, who's the vice president. They lost a mother and grandmother over the weekend, so I would not expect them to be here. The treasurer is Mike Ennis. Recording secretary is Peg Whiting. Corresponding secretary is Joe Spiegel. And Karen Wagner is the member at large. She was just elected in November. So she replaces Sarah Mason, who had been on the board for close to a decade probably, and had been president for the last several years. So we got new ideas, and we're looking forward to hitting the ground running. Last year, as Eric said, was not my favorite, but we did not let it stop us. We adapted. Before COVID hit, just really at the end of 2019, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning RTUs, the rooftop units, shut down, which was right in the middle of December. So that was fun, and we got bids out, we got bids in, we got bids selected, and they were working and actually finished on January 2nd of 2020 at considerable expense. The security system DVR failed soon after, and we replaced that in February. We repaired a handrail on the south side entry in March because it was a lawsuit waiting to happen. And that didn't, I mean, they came and got it right before it down and then didn't bring it back to just before we opened, but that was obviously worked out okay. We had a dead birch tree, which has been dead forever, on the front lawn, had that removed, power washed the granite wall that goes from the front around the south side, had that washed, and I think that looks a lot better. And of course, the birch tree was responsible for a lot of the reason it needed to be power washed. This is something I'm kind of excited about. We replaced the water fountains. After we shut down, we didn't stand still. We thought we'd do some things in the building, make some improvements while we couldn't get anybody in here. And we replaced the water fountains in the children's area and in the bathroom hallway with filtered, chilled water fountains that include bottle filling stations. So we're hoping that is appreciated because we certainly like it. We had to replace staff laptops in response to the increased needs of moving much of our service and programming online. As I say, the stay-at-home order made us shut the building. We never closed the library. It's worth noting that very nearly all the work and equipment from the HVAC to the computers was paid for from the library fund. The library savings account comprised of revenue from fines, fees, sales, copies, rentals, and donations, sponsorships, with only the tree removal and security system replacement coming from tax revenue in the general fund. We've had all kinds of issues with the phone system. This past year, from the day it was installed last August, the new phone system did not agree with the library for reasons we have not completely figured out, leaving us with garbled reception. Those of you who've called know about this. Garbled reception on both ends of the call, and most frustratingly, dropped calls. The phones have just been a nightmare. The assistant director said it would be ironic in the year of the COVID pandemic. It was the phones that made me snap. So we are looking forward to, because we do have some hopeful news that does appear to be better. We have another project that was funded by a grant we received from the federal government to increase Wi-Fi surrounding the building. We had to replace some equipment for that, and that equipment seems to have helped our funds. So our response to the pandemic in 2020 was to try to move as much as we could online, because the governor shut the building, shut down all libraries and museums. And so she shut down the on March 16th, and we could not open again until June 8th. So as I say, the building was closed, but we never closed the library. We shifted our attention online and continued to provide service and all the program we could provide online. We also immediately began to work on a reopening plan so that we would be ready when we could reopen and agile enough to deal with whatever changes, reclosings, restrictions we faced. We opened limited capacity prescribed by order and in keeping with the guidelines of our reopening plan in June. When cases started to rise again in November, we rolled back to phase 1 of our plan, which included contact delivery, which is what we've been doing since mid-November. I am happy to announce that as of today, January 25th, patrons may enter the building again by appointment, and we look forward to increasing capacity in the coming weeks, moving fully back to phase 2, depending on the effects of this new virus strain I keep hearing about, and whatever results in government action, or whatever the government actions resulting from that are. Our response to the initial shutdown included shifting resources, accessing emergency funds to purchase new online subscriptions, RB Digital audiobooks, which is now part of Overdrive, which we already had, magazines and video, Canopy, which focuses on independent films, tutor.com, which can be helpful for homebound students, and ancestry.com, which is normally only available in libraries, but is currently available remotely at least through the end of March. We added an online library card application so that people could get a library account if they didn't already have one. We called it an uncard, and that made it possible for those people who couldn't get into a building to get a new card to go ahead and use all these online services we had. And certainly that is what we promoted on social media and elsewhere were our online capabilities. The uncard will work not only for the new stuff, but to subscriptions we already had, Overdrive ebooks and audiobooks, Hoopla ebooks, comic books, music and video, Freegal music. Freegal's because you get to keep what you download from Freegal. Freegal is not a borrowed item. We also have Mango languages, so you can learn a foreign language, World Access News, which allows access to hundreds of worldwide newspapers, including digital image editions of the Adrian Daily Telegram, available on the date of publication. Consumer Reports, America's Genealogy Bank, another resource from all you family tree builders. We try to promote these resources at every opportunity you just witnessed. We also completed a project to convert all Blissfield High School yearbooks to digital copies and make them available via our website. This was a little scary. So we were working on this project for a decade, trying to get a complete run of the yearbooks, and we finally got it with some assistance from the high school. And we shipped them off just like, I think like March 13th. And then we all got shut down and we worried there might be a problem getting them back. When we did reopen the first week of June, the yearbooks arrived about 3 days later. We shifted some resources to increase the online presence, but we did not neglect good old books, adding very near usual number of volumes, including over 100 well-made volumes of the Library America series, which features classics of American literature. Staff took the opportunity, working from home, to complete hours of continuing education online that has already proved valuable as we move programming online and in other areas as well. Programming, as a lot of you know, is my pride and joy. It's what made our library stand out. And while other libraries have caught up, we have attempted to bring new and varied programs to Blissfield. The pandemic might have shut us down, but while no one is claiming to not want to get back to in-person programming, we have tried to replicate online some of what we offered before. Dixie Andrus, our children's librarian, has led the way immediately, without missing a beat, converting our Wednesday story times and some teen program for online delivery. I don't know if you can see this, but this was our spring story time schedule. As I said, we were shut down on March 16th, and on March 25th, Dixie was online doing our story times, and they continued on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. just as they always had. We followed with an online summer reading program that was sponsored by the Adrian and Blissfield Railroad, and our new Assistant Director, Autumn Smith, converted our also new evening program series, which we just gotten started. We had one program before we got shut down, with new sponsors, Brown & Sons Roofing and D&N Upholstery, we converted it to something we call Blissfield Unbound, online programming from the library, which has featured instruction and entertainment from a variety of sources. We did it summer, we did it fall, and we are currently in the middle of a winter series. Most Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. So go to the library Facebook page. We had something last week. We've got something tomorrow night. In fact, Karen Wagner is going to be talking about barn quilts tomorrow night. That's always a popular subject. In August, we had hoped we could deliver Art at Your Feet in close to the normal way since it was an outdoor event. But as cases and hospitalizations continued to rise at the same rate that comfort levels fell, we delivered a version of Art at Your Feet we called Art on the Feed, which involved picking up chalk from the library, making art on your own space, and sending it to the library's Facebook feed. We delivered a couple of Taste the State programs sponsored by Chris Mallow and Blissfield Insurance Agency before the shutdown, and we really worried that Taste the State might not make it in the pandemic, but we did figure out how to do a very well-received hybrid event, a beer tasting, which we held via Zoom in October, featuring Ben and Sam Forkey of Four Keys Brewing, with beer picked up by participants at orchards. Our plans for 2021 are to keep going. Go forward, we plan much the same: online story times, Blissfield Unbound programs, and hybrid Taste the State events, including one with the Main Street Stable coming soon. The key to continuing all our programming is that our sponsors have stuck with us. They continue to appreciate the value the library offers. I did offer to cut the sponsorship fees in half, since many of our local businesses have struggled in the last year. But no one, sponsors represented, batted an eye. Everyone was on board. The Adrian and Blissfield Railroad, in fact, doubled their usual summer reading donation in order to help other businesses, because we usually send out a letter trying to get money from everybody, because that's our budget, is what we get. And I offered to cut it in half, so he doubled it. So I think I might offer to cut it quarters this year to see if he gives me 8 times what I asked for. I don't know if that will work, but you can dream. Moving to the current year, we cannot do in-person programming currently, so we continue online, but we stand ever ready to pivot to in-person when available. In addition to our regular story times, the full summer reading program this summer, and the Taste the State program I've already mentioned with the Main Street Stable, we'll plan a month-long online literary festival for March's Reading Month in conjunction, along with other Blissfield Unbound online programs, and another taste in conjunction with the opening of Four Keys Brewery. It would be wonderful if Art at Your Feet could mark our return to normal. Art at Your Feet, sponsored by Chris Mallow and Transcend Physical Therapy. And if we could be back to normal and at least be able to do that outside program in the summer, I think that would be great. And we would follow that with live programming in the fall, story times, the return of the Manhattan Short Film Festival, which I had great hopes for and was really excited about. And we got to do it once and then got shut down. Taste the State, and Halloween hot chocolate, which was my wife's idea, so she'd be happy that gets to come back. The one thing we cannot realistically do at the moment is the spring book sale. The labor involved in setting up an online store would obliterate any proceeds when nothing costs more than $1, and we haven't even gotten to how to deliver the purchases. But maybe there's a sale in the fall if everything goes well. Our new assistant director will, I hope, be able to complete the training that's required for necessary state certification. She is registered for it last year, but it was canceled entirely rather than moved online. We have other building improvements planned. The library received a CARES Act digital inclusion grant to expand our public Wi-Fi range and strength outside the building. That project has begun and may be completed in the next couple of weeks, depending on vendor availability. The added benefit is that, as I said, the expanded Wi-Fi required a better router, which now installed has benefited our voice over internet protocol phone system. Let me go down here. Let me see what I said. Completed a 20-minute phone call when previously calls dropped after 90 seconds. Unfortunately, I did have a call drop with Heather Marks after 22 minutes. So we can talk for 21 minutes and 59 seconds, and then we got to go. To support the expanded Wi-Fi, the library board is working on building covered seating designed by our own Peg Whiting on the front lawn for people who use the Wi-Fi outside. Since the water fountain project required some demolition and repair, we painted the hallway, and we are looking to repaint other areas of the library, because once you paint, one thing, it looks really good and everything else starts looking dirty. So we decided we would paint a lot of other areas inside and out. And we're looking at maybe featuring a peg lighting mural in our children's area. We also plan a couple of extra cameras for the security system to give us a better view of the back parking lot, since there have been a couple of incidents back there in the last few months with some party debris found in the morning. And we want to keep our staff safe when they leave in the evening, especially on those nights we are open later. We love our library. The library board and staff love this library. I love this library. We don't shush at our library. We can even get loud. And we are more than just a building full of books. We exist in the cloud. More than anything, we want the library to return to being the village's living room, home office, playroom, and theater. We will have the building and grounds ready for your return. Welcome to all of you in advance.
Thanks, Bob. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So next we have Amy Campbell and Holly Kester for the planning and zoning.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're doing this in a little bit of a tag team, Holly and I. So I'll just start out by letting you know that currently the board comprises Amy Campbell, Heather Marks, Ben Fox, Jan Luce, Diane Burgemeister, and Dave Koppelman. We do have one open seat, unless something has happened real recently that I'm not aware of. We had a very spotty meeting schedule in 2020, as you might imagine. We had 6 of 12 meetings canceled, either due to no agenda items or the pandemic, and we weren't allowed to meet. I think in one case, several people were going to be unable to make it, and they called it because things have been really quiet. People aren't asking for special use or permits or variances much at all. We did approve a sign variance for Coach Light Estates to allow an electronic sign in the island of the entrance, sort of under and forward of the pole sign that's there now. We had good discussion about that and decided that I'm kind of a stickler about the electronic sign area. And we all decided that that was a good idea. The other major thing I feel like that we did was began a discussion of design standards for the village. We had a member at the time who was concerned about the fact that if a new business comes in or something, is damaged, burns down, wants to be, they want to replace it. We don't have anything that says, here's how we kind of want the village to look, basically. Not only these paint colors, nothing like that. So that discussion was just sort of getting underway, I believe, when Jim Winnicott left. And then we started, does that sound right to you, Jan? That it was, Jim was still here when we started that discussion.
That's correct.
Yeah, and then in the transition to Joe, we had talked about maybe looking for a consultant, because I know from long work on this board that there are consultants available who can, guide you in such things. Joe came back to us and said that actually that was going to be so closely related to what they were doing with RRC that we would wait until we got to that part of the process. If that sounds incorrect, Heather, feel free to let me know. So that's kind of where we were. We did not have a December meeting at all, I think because Laura was leaving in November and there were no agenda items. In the early part of the year, typically, we are looking at the just a review of the comprehensive plan, getting our bearings with where the village is on projects and what projects are coming up. And then reviewing the zoning ordinance is always something that is sort of ongoing. And we began with, I believe we began that in the fall, but again, you know, we had an October cancellation and then a November meeting and a December cancellation. So that was something that we were always guided in by the village administrator, sort of informing us, bringing us, here are some projects. Here are some considerations for zoning as we go forward. So I don't know, you know, how that's going to happen this year. So we could use, you know, we could use some direction, although I think we're really lucky to have Heather as a member because I know that she's very dialed in. So that's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
Kind of going forward with the planning and the zoning. Heather and I, part of the RC program that we've been working on is going to be sitting down and putting hours into looking at the ordinance, making it a little easier to read, putting it together better. Not necessarily changing the ordinance, it's just to make it easier to read for people that do want to come into the village. They can absolutely sit down and read it, and it just really does help. We're also working on the Citizens Planner certification. It's about a 40-hour program that Heather and I are both enrolled in. It's also just to help with the planning and the zoning aspect of the villages. And I do know with the next planning commission meeting coming up, we do need to go over the flow chart to kind of approve that, to make sure that goes on with the RRC program also. Heather, is there anything that you really want to add with the RRC?
I was just going to say we have started diving into this. I'm pretty proud of what Holly and I have already done. There are 3 current tasks that are in process, and then we have 3 that we're waiting on approval. We did complete 7 tasks this year so far, and then we have about 10 left to finish, to fully complete. So my goal is to have this completed by the end of the year. And then what that does is open up more opportunities. The MEDC will then allow us to submit 3 sites that they will help promote for us to bring in some redevelopment for those sites. So it's pretty exciting once we get to the next step.
All right, then. Thanks, Amy, Holly, and Heather. Really appreciate it. Are there any other boards, Heather?
Just me.
Okay.
I get to talk some more.
All right.
So the DDA board is last, DDA Main Street Board. And the board members, I have Mike Gunner as president, Laura Nichols is vice president. I have Scott Croft as secretary, Sandy Witt is treasurer. Then I have Barb McHenry, Bob Valdez, Brenda Butler, myself, and Cindy Zanger, also a part of the DDA board. And like everybody else has already talked about, COVID really made us think outside the box. We had to pivot a lot to help our businesses. And I was very thankful that our board was quick in reacting to some of the programs that I suggested. We went through, we did roughly $81,000 in grants and loans to our local businesses. We did 3 rounds of gift certificate campaigns that totaled $25,000. We did a patronicity campaign that allowed our community to donate for our businesses for the grants and loans, and that raised over $16,000. We were able to hold our car show. We decided to go ahead and have movies on lane at the high school. We did our tractor cruise in, antiques in autumn. We held an awesome Yuletide. And then we also teamed up, as Eric May said, with Parks and Rec and Girl Scouts for the Festival of Trees this year. So far, also last year we had roughly $12,000 that we gave out in facade grants. We assisted in our wayfinding sign project. We've assisted with the RRC. We've been working on redoing our mini park. We also started welcome baskets. So when someone new comes and signs up for their water bill, they get a basket that has goodies from downtown businesses. We also changed to a one-time sponsorship ask. So in the previous years, we have gone to all of our businesses for each event to ask for sponsorship. And last year we decided to just do a one-time ask, and that was very well received from our businesses. We started a discount card program that's also included in the welcome baskets, and they're for sale here in the village office. There's no charge for our businesses to participate, so it's really just about getting people into the businesses and spending money. We worked on a mural project, as well as we did the fence chalkboard downtown. And then, of course, making sure to share all of the information that we can for other grants and loans for COVID relief with our businesses. And then Coach Light Plaza was a huge project last year that the board worked on. Moving forward and looking for this year, we wanted to bring back Railroad Days. We were not able to do that last year, so we are hoping to do that this year. Usually it is a spring event. Unfortunately, the railroad is not operational, and after meeting with them last week, we have decided to move it to the end of July. We've had a total of 4 new businesses already open within the last few months, which is amazing during a pandemic. There has been discussion about adding more arts. So part of our Main Street program and strategy is bringing in the arts. And I think that that's something that maybe the board could definitely look at for this year, how to bring more arts to downtown. I even had someone who approached me and is interested in chairing a farmer's market. So a set farmer's market area for downtown Blissfield. We will be continuing with RRC as well as our TIF renewal. So that is something that we started not too long ago. Continue with facade grants, and then also with COVID relief in any way that we can.
Any questions? Been very busy, Heather, and we really appreciate all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
All right, with that, we'll go on to our second action item, is the approval of the executive search firm request for proposals, village administrator position. Darwin, if you'd like to go over that.
Sure, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as the council and administration discussed last week, I have prepared a draft request for proposals for an executive search firm to provide assistance to the council in moving through the village administrator search process. I did note a few things about the process for the advertisement review and consideration of proposals that council should keep in mind. First, I would recommend that the council either create an ad hoc council committee to review the executive search firm proposals and recommend a firm to the council, or alternatively, have the council decide that you are going to review the proposals as a body and make a decision. Second, we would advertise the request for proposals locally in the local paper, as well as send personal invitations to known executive search firms. And I provided you with a partial list of executive search firms that that we are aware of. We would receive the proposals by Monday, February 15th. The proposals would then be reviewed by the ad hoc committee or by the council during the week of February 15th. And hopefully council would be in a position to select a firm at your February 22nd meeting. So I did provide you with a list, a partial list of executive search firms that we would send invitations to. I provided you with the alternatives analysis. What would happen if we do move forward with the solicitation of proposals? What we need to consider if council did not take any action tonight, which ultimately would delay this process. And I know that the council wants to move as expeditiously as possible through this process. I provided you with the summary of the previous council action that you've taken regarding the village administrator position and authorization to proceed with the RFP process. We anticipate the only cost for soliciting proposals would be the publication costs for the notice in the local paper. And I have provided council with two recommended motions that the council should consider. The first one, if council opts to establish an ad hoc committee to review proposals, you should do that first and appoint your members to that committee. And then the second is to approve the request for proposals and authorize us to proceed to advertise. I'm happy to answer any questions council may have regarding the process or regarding the proposed request for proposals.
I would ask that if there are 3 village trustees that would be willing to serve on that ad hoc executive search firm committee, review committee.
I would like to, Bob.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
I would like to be considered too.
Okay, Jerry and Mike.
I'd be glad to help as well.
All right. Here you go, Darwin, Mike, Jerry, and Gwen.
All right. Okay, what I would, council, what I would recommend is that that a motion be adopted to create the committee. And I've provided you with the recommended motion. So if you want to just read that motion, that would be fine. And then at the end of that motion, include the appointment of those 3 trustees to the committee.
So would someone read that motion and recommend it?
Sure, I'll do it. Okay, I recommend a motion to establish an ad hoc executive search firm review committee comprising the following 3 village trustees, Jerry Hayes, Gwen Dusa, Mike Gunner, for the purpose of receiving, reviewing, and recommending to the village council the selection of a firm to provide executive search services relating to the recruitment and selection of a permanent village administrator, with the term of the committee to expire on February 26, 2021.
I'll support.
Moved and supported for recommended motion number 1. Are there any questions If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Mike,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes,
Thank you.
motion carried. And then we have that second motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for proposals for executive search services for the recruitment and selection of a permanent village administrator and to authorize administration to proceed to advertise for these services. Support.
Moved and supported to approve recommendation number 2. Are there any questions? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes, motion carried. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to Jerry, Mike, and Gwen. Next action item is the DPW lift station purchase.
I make a motion, we purchase a new pump for the DPW lift station.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to purchase the lift. Wait a second.
Lift station pump.
Lift station pump. Are there any questions?
Yeah, yes. Can Brent tell us what lift station that's coming out of?
Can you hear me, Jam?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's basically the DPW lift station. We replaced the north pump in 2020 in February. These were installed in 2012, and we put impellers on them in 2017. That's when we replaced the north pump, and now down the south pump is what's bad.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Brent, where is this pump located?
Behind the
For those of,
DPW, basically it'll take care of everything that comes through the park and goes to the DPW lift station, which gets pumped down North Lane Street. So you're taking basically the east corner of town.
Okay, so it's that one just north of the dry bridge?
Correct.
And I just have a quick question. I know the motion's been made, but do we need to get competitive bids on this, or what are our,
Yeah,
what
Jerry.
are our sources for this?
Yeah, Jerry, these pumps are made by Myers. This is what they're set up. And basically Mylan Supply is your only Myers dealer in this region. Basically, if I call any other company, what they'll do is buy them from Myers and they will install them. So they're just going to add to it. We went through this when we back in February of 2020 was the same thing. And we basically, back when we did the impellers in 2017 was the same way. You got to buy them through Mylan Supply. They are the Myers dealer.
Okay, is this something they would install or you guys?
No, we're going to install these. We'll install this pump.
Brent, was there much difference in price from last year to this year?
Yeah, I can give you two. In 2020, the pump was $52.19 plus freight. And this one is $57.45 plus freight with and installed the 50-foot cord on them both, which is the same exact pump.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, you can call the roll, Lisa.
Jan,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. Motion carried. Next action item is the authorization to bid wastewater treatment biosolids land application. Would you like to go over this, Darwin?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. First, I'd like to note that wastewater treatment plant supervisor Rattan could not attend tonight. He had a medical procedure today, so I will try to answer what questions I can regarding this. But wastewater treatment plant supervisor Rattan is requesting authorization from council to proceed to bid for the services for the testing, removal, transportation, and land application of the wastewater treatment plant biosolids. Bids are let for these services every 2 years, and biosolids are removed from the wastewater treatment plant facilities and applied to farmlands once every 6 months in accordance with the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes, and Energy, or EGLE, regulations. I provided you with a copy of the bid specifications that were used in 2015. Those were the ones that Randy had available. I believe they were bid out again in 2017, but there are no changes to the specifications from those past two bid lettings. So even though the information does reference 2015, the bid specifications are still the same. And I am happy to answer any questions I may be able to answer from council.
So this is done every 2 years. When was the last time that, when it was done?
My understanding is 2017, the last bid process was undertaken.
Mike, maybe you could tell me, because I know you've been around the longest, how is this different than the oxidation ditches, or is this the same thing as the oxidation ditches?
Can you hear me, Gwen?
I can,
Okay, to be honest with you, I'm not sure how it's different from the oxidation ditches, because I know, we put all that stuff in the drying beds.
Right.
And Brent would be able to answer it. Brent knows.
I'm curious if somebody could answer how this is different than the oxidation ditches, or are they the same? I didn't think they were the same, though.
That's a good question, Gwen. I had the same.
Brent, are you able to help us with that?
Brent, are you still?
Yeah, I'd probably talk to Randy on that one.
Okay. I'm not opposed to taking a bid, certainly, if a bid is warranted. It's just I don't see the difference, because we've done an awful lot of work with the oxidation ditches, and I was just curious of what the difference would be, and that's what I was looking for.
I know the only difference that I could mention would be that it's applicated, or it's applied on the farmland when it's dried out, and it doesn't have any of the water, the quote water solid, or the water in it. It's just the solids, so it's an inert, and it can be applied to farm fields. Whereas it was different this time because that sludge wasn't completely dried. It was hauled out, and just taken away and thrown in the landfill or whatever.
Okay.
I wonder
Hey, Bob,
if this.
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so the ditches aren't necessarily a regularly occurring thing. What I'm asking for is the two other tanks that would that's our normal wasting procedure, is to waste into those. And every 6 months we have it hauled out and land applied into fields. The oxidation ditches is kind of an entirely different issue that's being addressed in the project.
Sorry, Randy, I didn't know you were there. So let me just make sure I understand what you're saying to me. So the oxidation ditches are different than what we've got going on here with this normal wasting. And this is done at a 6-month interval, and you're asking for a bid so that we can begin, or we can continue those 6-month deposits.
Yes, the ditches is everything's treated in, and then from there, once it's treated to a point to where I can't break it down anymore, it then goes into the sludge storage tanks to be land applied.
And this is kind of what Mike was saying. This is going to be more where it's solid and can be put onto the land.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does, Randy, does Eagle play any role in this?
Kind of. There's only a limited number of companies that are even available to do this. They have to be licensed through Eagle to land apply. And last I checked on their most recent updated list, there was 8, and only 3 or 4 of the companies were even still participating.
Okay. There aren't any other questions? Go ahead.
What other comment, Bob? What you just said there, Randy, there's only a couple companies still participating. Is that something that we should be looking at in the future? Since it's almost sounding, maybe I just took your cue on that, but it almost sounds like it's something that's changing. And if we only have a couple companies, that's something that's kind of going to the wayside?
No, it's not going to the wayside. It's just with everything involved, equipment that you have to have and everything else. If you're not busy all year, it's not really financially viable to spend a few months out of the year hauling your contracts and then sitting idle if you're not filled up on a regular basis.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
I have one more quick question. Randy, when's the last time we did this?
I'm not sure. I don't know if Darwin looked into getting his, having it done in 17. I'm not 100% sure. This was the most recent one that I found, but that doesn't mean that if it was done in 17 that I just didn't have any record of it at the plant.
All right. How long does it take to fill up one of those tanks?
Usually, I'll be like, we hauled in December, so late May, early June, depending on flows and how much solids I get in would be kind of where I have to be able to have, whoever were to win the bid hauling, otherwise I'll be out of space.
Okay, thank you.
Is that something too, Randy, asking, I'm asking because of the oxidation situation that we had earlier. And is this something that should, it is on a calendar on a regular basis that we you know how you look at a year ahead and you say, okay, look, this is when the oxidation ditches are going to be done, June of each year. And then the normal wasting, I know it's going to depend on the amount of material coming in, sort of, kind of, but you have an idea of on the calendar year that, okay, it's typically going to be done in April and in November. Is it done that way?
Yes, generally, we have certain time frames that the state allows us to haul. So May is when that window opens.
Gotcha.
And then December 20th is when we're supposed to haul by. Now, like a few years ago, there's some circumstances that were out of our hands with weather. If you need an extension because you're going to haul on that date,
Okay.
We are on a 6-month reoccurring schedule with this.
Okay, because when you said if they don't haul by or such a time that you'll be out of room, that's why I asked that. Is there a set date, a set time for that? Because we don't want to run into that a problem like we did. I'm sure you don't with like the oxidation issue.
Yeah, because if we wait too long, usually as soon as our window opens in the spring, we have to haul. Because if
Mhm.
I run out of space, the only place for all that to build up is in the ditches.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. All right. So you've got it. You're looking for the bids to continue this process to continue.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks for clarifying.
No problem.
I'm still, I know a council wants to have our ducks in a row on that one, and I want to verify once again, Randy, this is coming from the sludge tank, correct? The sludge, because the oxidation ditches is the same sludge that goes into the sludge tank. Apparently though, with the last time, the sludge had built up too much to where we couldn't get it through the sludge tank. We had to actually clean out the oxidation ditches before
Yes.
before we could actually dry it out and get it into the sludge tank to dewater and whatever else and land apply it. Correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, everything that winds up in the sludge tanks is the same thing that we pulled out of the oxidation ditches. The difference is what settles out in the oxidation ditches is all the grit.
Right.
So it's stuff that I can't break down and it falls out too fast to keep it suspended and then have it go into the sludge tanks.
Okay. And our oxidation ditches clean right now? Is all of that sludge out of them? We're not building that back up, correct? With this last treatment process before this.
Until we have the project completed with our grit and rag removal, the oxidation issues are going to be reoccurring. The time frame on how often the problem happens is dependent on a number of different factors.
Okay. That's something that we need to keep in check. Council, the rest of us, Darwin, I would like you to work with Randy and get some sort of report to say, this is how we're going to move forward. I don't want to continue spending, $70,000 every couple of years on cleaning out those oxidation ditches and not keeping up with those.
What ultimately will happen is when the project's done and we have our grit removal, most likely it's going to help with how much sludge we're actually having to apply, and then how much is settling out in the ditches. And then every 6 months or every year, we would have to drain one tank, clean it out, and we could either run it back through the whole system through the grit removal and everything else again, or straight into the sludge tanks and then have it hauled off. It'll be just a regular maintenance item, no different than our typical sludge hauling out of the sludge tanks.
This new addition we're putting on, isn't that supposed to help us?
You said that what we're doing in the project is supposed to help?
Right.
Yes.
Our $7 million, isn't that going to take care of some of that?
That's going to alleviate a lot of the problem. Because what happens right now is all the dirt and sand and silt and everything else falls out in it. And we'll have a process in the new headworks building that's going to remove, I think they said 80 to 90% roughly of that silt and essentially just dirt that comes in.
That part sounds good.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, thanks for hopping on, Randy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
If there aren't any other questions, you can call the roll, Lisa.
We haven't had anyone
Make
make
a
the
motion.
motion or second it.
Oh, okay. Somebody want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize administration to proceed to bid for the purchase of wastewater treatment plant biosolids land application services.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to authorize the administration to proceed to bid for the purchase of the wastewater treatment plant biosolids land application services. You can call the roll now, Lisa.
James,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Barb? Yes. Gwen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. The last action item is the purchase of a water vendor system.
Your Honor, wastewater or water treatment plant supervisor Kiefer is requesting approval from Village Council to proceed to purchase a new water vendor system for the dispensing of water to customers at the water treatment plant. The current system is antiquated and needs to be replaced, as I'm sure council members are already aware. I provided you with a copy of Supervisor Kiefer's memorandum that outlines the need and recommendation for this purchase and the price quotes that she has obtained. She's recommending the purchase of the AquaTrack water vendor system from Aquaflow International of Flagstaff, Arizona. And Nora is on this meeting and can answer any questions council may have regarding her memorandum.
Nora, what was the price of that?
It'll be $27,695.
To think we used to use a cigar box.
Obviously, Nora, you're recommending the higher cost estimate. What's the reasoning or the logic behind that one? I'm sure it's valid, but
Yes,
we just need
the
this.
two that are there, kind of apples and oranges. The one we're recommending has a internet web-based system. So our customers do not need to come into the office, do not need to come, and I don't know how some of the other vendors in our area, Fairfield, Metamora, you have to purchase like a card that you get and you have to put the money on at the gas station. So I felt like that was a lot of runaround. This one, they will have a login to our dashboard. They can pay by credit card. They can put $100 on their account. They will have a secured PIN number. So when they come to our vendor, they either have the option to use their PIN number, and then they can hit start and fill their tank. Or they will use a credit card. So like if you're at the car wash and you use a credit card, swipe your credit card, hit start. When you're done, you hit stop. We added that credit card reader for those in our area. I know we all don't have the best internet around here. So if they had problems getting those accounts set up or adding money to their account, or it's just an emergency situation to where, you know, they ran out of water at home and they've got to fill up right now. The people that will have the accounts also can update those 24 hours a day from any internet-able device. So they will also be able to get reports of what they've paid. So a lot of farmers were happy because they can claim that on their taxes then. So they've asked about that. So it gives, and it also gives Brandon more, he'll be the administrator on the account. So he can say, Nora Kiefer filled up her truck at 9:30 on Friday and got 400 gallons. It gives us a lot more sight on what's actually happening and who's using the system.
Well, the public has made it clear that this is something that they wanted and needed. You know, there's been so many complaints regarding just the, not only the operation, but the ease, you know, of being able to use a credit card or whatnot. And I absolutely think bypassing the middleman, you know, having to do the quote credit card or credit, whatever, Nora, would make sense. Just go there, pay cash, pay your own credit card, fill what you need and go. So that makes sense to me to pay with the, or go with the, your recommendation. So I'll make that motion that we approve the necessary budget amendments and approve the purchase of the AquaTrack water vendor from Aquaflow International, Flagstaff, Arizona. For the total price, $27,695 for their quote dated December 11th, 2020. And the village administrator to authorize to execute any necessary documents related to that purchase.
Support.
My only comment would be, Nora, I know we had the opportunity to talk. Could you explain to the board, and I think more so the public, about where that money is coming from, please?
So that money will be from, generally it's township people who have wells that possibly, our biggest jump that we see is spring, because the farmers will start filling all of their big mixing tanks. So of the farmers, everybody starts filling their pools. We have a lot of lawn companies who will come through and spray the yards to fill up their big water tanks. But the majority is just your average guy who has to, between Palmyra to Ottawa Lake, there's a lot of bad wells. So they have to haul their water. So we see multiple reoccurring people who come by 3 times a week. But this system will easily pay for itself in at least 2 years.
Right. And that was something, could you explain where the 27,000 is coming from in order to pay for that now?
Yes. So this was not a project we had planned when we did the budget originally, but since then, with the closing of the ethanol plant, I had a project that we needed to do. It was a $72,000 project, engineering for a third high service pump. With the information of the closing of the plant, I went to my engineer for Eagle and addressed that the plant was closing. Do I still need to look at this? He wrote me a letter saying that at this time, I do not need to move with that project. So I do have that $72,000 in the budget, and we'll take part of that and move it to this system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Way to go, taking the bull by the horns on that one, Nora. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I just have one quick question. So I'm assuming if they're going to be using credit cards, there will be some sort of processing fee. How do we address that?
Yes, we can add that in. They will go on a website called Pay for Water. And I like the PIN number idea because then most people fill up their tank and it's $6. So you're not scanning your card for $6 all the time. If you use a PIN number, you can put a big chunk there, use it up, add it when you need it. We can charge that up front, that 10%. And how, I know I talked to James earlier today. He asked about any kind of licensing or any kind of fees we have. There's a yearly fee. I believe it was 10 cents and it's per transaction. So they actually watch what we're doing and they charge off of that. So that's kind of our.
And it looked like between the two systems, this one was way more robust than the other one, had a lot more features that would not only would help us out, but would help the customer out too.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Bob.
Wait a second. Okay. Brandon, do you want to say something, Brandon?
Hey, I also wanted to point out. I wanted to point out that our budget has us receiving $33,000 in revenue from the bulk water sales. We've already met half of that, and we're already into January. So in 4 months, we've already met half of the revenue. So I hope that answers your question, Gwen. Yeah, as well. Another thing is, if I remember correctly, when it came to budgeting revenue for water, I think Joe left out the sales from the ethanol plant. So that's another $27,000 surplus that we are receiving every month. Because he factored the ethanol plant being completely closed, I believe, as we were not going to receive any revenue. So those are 2 things I just wanted to point out as far as where the money could possibly come from. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you. All right. We have a motion, Lisa, right?
We do.
Okay. You can call the roll then.
Okay. Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Barb, Yes. Bob?
Yes, motion carried. Thanks, Nora. Okay, we're going to officers report. Anything from the treasurer?
I have nothing to query about. The only thing that I can have to say is we are still going through the audit, and I am getting a lot of emails right now regarding the utility fund. So I've been going back and forth with Nicole regarding the everything else is going smoothly. I'm hoping they'll have the audit finished by the end of the month. I haven't heard that, but we will have to turn in some reports to the state by the end of the month. So hopefully it'll be done. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Clerk?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Attorney?
Nothing particular to report. Darwin and I are going to be meeting tomorrow. And so we'll try to catch up and see where we're at on the various items that we have going.
All right, thank you. Police chief?
Nothing.
Thank you. Did everyone, administrators report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I provided council this evening with the village administrator's report, and I will be posting my reports also to the website so that they're available to the public on the village administrator's webpage. But I did provide you with an update on the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. Our meeting last week with Pogemeyer, and that we will continue to monitor this project and see if there's any way we can get it moving along more quickly. But the engineer did tell me that that this project is still slated to start construction in May. I am also going to be following up with Eagle to have some discussions with them as well. I informed the council that I did meet with the bank to provide for, to facilitate the transfer of access to village bank accounts from the previous administrator. The clerk, treasurer, and I will be reviewing the office technology. The village has made some great investments in technology here at Village Hall. And so we are going to be reviewing that together to see how we can better utilize the technology that we have to improve efficiencies and increase productivity. We've got a very limited staff. The more that we can utilize technology means we can handle our workload better without having to rely on additional staff. So we're going to look at any way we can to do that. And there's a few opportunities that I've talked a little bit with Lisa about, but I want to talk to Brandon and Lisa some more and review some of those things. The BSNA financial software and how we can streamline some of our processes, for example, with invoice processing, but also with the iCompass system and looking at exactly what we purchased there and how we can streamline our processes as far as preparing and publishing the agenda packets for council and for other boards and commissions. The Mitten bid system, there are documents that have to be executed, and Mitten is preparing those for me. I anticipate they will be on your next agenda for approval, but we will move forward with getting the village joined up for the Mitten bid system. I noted for you that I met with some of the department heads last week and toured their facilities, the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant. I met with the clerk to talk about her department. I have more meetings set up for tomorrow to finish most of those meetings with other department directors and supervisors. Also, I noted that I will be meeting weekly with our management team so that we can all connect with each other and talk about departmental issues. review council meeting items when our meetings fall on the mornings after council meetings. And it provides an opportunity for all of us to connect and stay connected to each other, because sometimes if we're at remote locations, it can be out of sight, out of mind, and we don't want that to happen. I attended the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Zoom meeting last week. What a wonderful group of people, and we've got a great Parks and Recreation director. I am really looking forward to working with all of them while I'm here for the next few months. I have established after hours. Those will be on Wednesdays from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. And those after hours are an opportunity for citizens and council members or anybody else who might want to meet with me by appointment. Right now, it'll be via Zoom or phone, but it's an opportunity to meet and discuss any issues or concerns that citizens may have, just to provide some convenience for citizens to be able to connect with Village Hall and for us to be responsive to the needs of our citizens. I will be publishing information on that on the website so that people will know how to get in contact with me to set up a meeting. Also, I would like to invite and encourage village trustees to set up individual meetings with me on a regular basis if you would like to do so. It provides an opportunity for me to meet with you individually to talk about what your own concerns and your own expectations and goals are. It always helps me to understand where each trustee is coming from. So I would very much enjoy having the opportunity to sit down with each of you to talk to you individually. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you would like to set up those meetings. I did note that the president and I have already set up weekly meetings on Mondays. So I look forward to those as well. I provided you with a list of the upcoming board and commission meetings for the next 2 weeks. And also my beginnings of a working list on current projects. But even after I completed this report, I've probably added another 2 or 3 items to my, I'm looking at my whiteboard over there. So, so the list grows daily, but I will continue to update that list with every report. If there's any questions council may have, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep, you're welcome.
Darwin, Bob, I want to compliment Darwin on that first report. That was excellent. You know, he's doing the day-to-day, and then he's actually really taking on the big ticket items, you know, head on. The wastewater treatment plant, pool, that sort of stuff that's on his radar. So thank you, Darwin, for where you're at right now. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
I would agree with that too. Darwin and I had a great conversation last Thursday for an hour or so, and I not only the template, the guide that he put together for where we go from here with hiring a new administrator, but also this report too. It's lots of information, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, we are on to unfinished business. Any?
Yes, I have a question on the unfinished business, and I don't know if Randy is still with us or not. Randy, is that you, Moto Z4?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, quick question. Have you heard anything more about the testing, the required testing for you? I know that it's been sidelined due to the COVID, but just curious if there's been any update on that at this time.
Right now, I'm not sure. This is to take it in May. But I'm pretty sure that they moved the water one back to like June, July. So I don't know if they'll do the same with the wastewater side. The website is basically still says the same thing since it said prior to last November. They haven't really updated anything yet.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that, your update.
That's a great question, Gwen. Randy, is there any way, I know it's a state license or whatever, but is there any other states that we can send you to that are quote open that'll allow you to take that test, or does it have to be done in Michigan?
It has to be done in Michigan. Every state has its own rules, and every state thinks their rules are better than everybody else's.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to really keep on top of that, Randy. I know that you want to get that completed as well, so we'll stay on top of that. Any new business?
Yes, please. I'm just curious if any council member or has had that opportunity to take a look at the website. When I look at the website on my laptop, it's very nice, but I tried to use it today via phone, and it wasn't so nice, meaning not as friendly when I say not so nice. And I don't think it's very phone friendly or very, I was trying to get the number for Nora today to call her at the office, and I was not able to get there. And I didn't know if anybody else had that experience with your website via the phone instead of the laptop, no problem, but the phone, not so good.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. It's pretty chunky when you look at it on your phone. It's hard to access the information that you want to get. So I don't know if that's something IT Right can do. Generally, there's obviously a mobile phone function where when you set up a website, if you want it to work on the mobile phone like you do on a desktop. So I don't know if they have that totally programmed or not, but I don't know who would get in touch with them, Darwin, maybe to see if they can do any tweaks to that. Because I agree, Gwen, that it's pretty hard to read when you're on your phone.
This is Lisa. We already have a couple calls into them about some problems we're having with it. So I can always add that on to the ticket. We've called them today. We've also asked for some training. They sent us a link to some videos, but not really any training. So I'll add that on to our list.
I would think when the purchase was made of the product, was training not involved, Lisa?
I wasn't here then.
Okay.
But and they were supposed to do some training with us in addition to the videos, but that has not happened.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, IT Right is in charge of our phones, correct? Is that right, you guys?
No, Verizon is.
Verizon is our phone. Okay, thank you. Okay, I was just gonna say, is it IT Right with our phone? Okay, Verizon is our phone. So the issues that Bob Behringer was referring to, that's a Verizon issue?
Yes.
That's not an IT Right issue. Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. I thought they were affiliated with each other. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, Lisa, put that down there that the phone thing looks kind of funky, man. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any announcements? If not, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move, we adjourn.
I'll second.
You can call the roll, Lisa.
Barb,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Mike, or I'm sorry, Gwen,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes. Thanks for another productive meeting. Get a lot done. All right, take care.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Have a good night.